I'm Revengeance. I am Melissa, though. Welcome to another American Horror Story, and this is episode 8. We're getting close to the end now. This episode's name is Sojourn, and yeah, with me as always is Stacey. Want to say hey, Stacey?
Hey everyone, what's going on? Glad you could join us. And yes, we are getting down to the wire with these episodes. So my hope is that they'll keep this pace going and maybe even quicken it up a little bit. But there's a lot to talk about tonight. So much.
Oh yeah, there is. And and I think I've probably said this a lot, but something I do notice with them is that the last 2 episodes, they really like to bring it. So I'm really hoping that's what's going to happen. I know, and I can't remember right now. We'll look it up, but I remember that one of the episodes is called like Fire and Rain. And the last one I cannot recall, but I will check it out. And that one, of course, is going to catch my attention, just the whole Targaryen part of me. So that one just made me think of, it's just about to be hell on earth is about to happen. We're going to see the whole blowout happening. But let's get into the whole blowout that started this whole episode. We had Michael finding the bodies burnt. He kind of got a feel for what happened, didn't he?
He did, and he was not too pleased about it. He seemed just slightly upset to lose his fellow warlocks, but when he touched Mead and he saw her, he pretty much lost it. So there's going to be hell to pay, literally.
Oh yeah, and it was like when he felt Baldwin, it was like, oh. And then he went to Ariel, and it was like, oh. And then when he went to me, that was it for him. He was like, all right, now I'm pissed, and these bitches are gonna pay. That was the one that got him. I think he probably could have let the warlock slide, but not Miss Mead. No, that I think he's probably cared most about her more than anyone. Ben, Tate, anybody that's been in his life, even his grandma. She's probably been the most influential for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we see Cordelia showed up, and she had a few words to say. She tried to reach out to him, and like one of her girls even, and try and take him under her wing and to a better place. She wanted to see him go to a better place, right?
Yeah, I think she really did try to appeal to his humanity. And it looked like he was being drawn in for a second. And then, something about Michael that, if we haven't caught on to it by now, we're never going to catch on to this. But he has this constant, eternal inner struggle between, good and evil in himself. And you can see where he wanted to accept it, but at the same time, he was pissed off that, that they burned his Miss Mead. So, he wanted to, but he couldn't. And I think that's something that's kind of like just an ongoing theme with him more so than anybody else is this struggle. And it was pretty evident even early in this episode, but even more so later on in the episode.
Oh yeah, and that's when he goes on his little walkabout a little bit later. You can see that it still bothered him with Miss Mead, and which we're not far from that right now. Was with Cordelia. My favorite part about that whole moment was just when, she reached out to him and he stood, and for a moment, just a brief moment, you thought, okay, oh, thank you, darling. You thought, okay, this is going to be the moment he's considering it, especially because we were talking earlier, and we've talked before about, maybe there is some good in him, and he is a little half and half. But when he stood up at that moment and just was like, no, it's on, I'm going to kill you and basically everybody you care about. And that was all over Miss Mead. I don't see that happening with anyone else with him. You know, I think that was the moment that truly turned him.
Yeah, with losing her, and don't get me wrong, like there were other times where we saw that, you know, that he was showing, you know, this good and evil and everything. But yeah, I mean, losing Miriam Mead in her, you know, in her human form was really just a huge blow to him. I mean, I almost felt bad for him, but you know, being a viewer and knowing that she comes back in robot form, you know, he gets what he wants anyway, so I don't feel that bad. I wanted to, but I couldn't because he's going to get what he wants anyway.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's the spawn of Satan, so he he gets what he wants, right?
And they literally say that you are the
Yeah.
spawn of Satan. You can have and do whatever you want to.
Yes.
So yeah, that was pretty great.
Yeah.
And so he goes, you know, he leaves Cordelia, and she tells him too about that, you know, he can't bring me back, that he put a spell on her soul. She put a spell on her soul to where only she that her soul is hidden by her, and she's the only one that can break it. I didn't want to mess that one up too bad. I had to look. So she's the only one that knows where her soul even is. She's the only one that can break it. So basically, I wonder if that's kind of an insurance policy on her life, or if he's going to find a way around that one too. Well, okay, we know he found a way around that to bring it back. But as far as her soul, do you think she's really that concerned for her soul?
Not really. Number one, it's interesting because Mead is supposed to be a Satanist, right? And in their black masses, they're supposed to be giving their soul to Satan. So that's interesting that she even has something to protect from Michael. Okay. So to me, you know, that should have been a little hint to Michael to say, you know what, this crap is not real. I mean, people think that they're selling their souls and everything, that they're giving up their souls. But look, here I am in possession of this particular soul, and she's, you know, she's one of yours, and you know, what's the deal with that?
You just made me think about something though. Okay, so if her soul was already owned by Satan, right? Then how can she hide something from him? Okay.
That's not there and not hers. Exactly.
It's not hers, right? And no matter where it's hidden, it's still going to come back, you know. And I think it didn't occur to him yet. So it's making me wonder if possibly when we do see at the end of the episode the Miss Mead AI version pop up, and she says how much she missed Michael. That was the first thing she said. It makes me wonder if she got her soul actually back there, you know, because his father did have that power to do it.
Here's what. So AI is an interesting thing, right? Is that you can put intelligence into something. Remember, they were asking. I don't really want to jump too far ahead, but I have to, you know, address this for that reason. Is they asked him to tell them everything that he can remember about her, so they could put that intelligence. They can pre-install that into her memory banks, her 250 something terabytes. So she's already going to have memories of him based on what he provided to them. That's the genius of AI, is there you get this knowing up front. So it's not a soul, and it's just like Terminator, right? There's nothing. There's no real heart. It's all machine. There's no soul to a robot anyway. So and there's no emotion. You remember when we see her in her.
But, okay, now here's where I can disagree with that one. I can disagree with that one. Okay, and the reason I can't. Okay, all right. First, I want to mention something that Fandom D Saint said. All right, he said the way I looked at it even when you sell your soul to Satan, Satan collects upon death. So when the soul left the body, the Supreme took it before it went to hell. Okay. And I can see what he's saying, like in a kind of like the Grim Reaper shows up and takes your soul, and there you go, sort of way, if I'm understanding him right. Now, what I want to say, where you're saying about the whole, the soul can't basically inhabit the AI, I got, all right, like possessed dolls. If I don't know if you've ever heard of the Isle of the Dolls, but you should go and check it out and learn about it. This is a true story, a real place, and I believe it's in Mexico, I want to say. But these dolls are truly possessed, and souls are in them, and it's a real thing. And there is it's the most haunted doll in America, and they've done tests on it and stuff, and it's possessed by 5 different spirits. I shit you not, it's a real thing. So, and it is known that different spirits can attach to different objects even. And, I mean, it could be anything that they can attach to. It could be furniture, just different possessions that they had. So to me, it could even possibly, I could see it happening with AI. I mean, it's not something that, I mean, we've seen done yet or anything, but just in general, who we're talking about, I could see it happening.
But the exception to that would be if Cordelia, just let's go back to the magic side just for a second. Okay. If Cordelia had never said that she had Mead's soul, then yes, that would be correct. But if she is in possession of that soul and nobody else has access to it, then where's it going to go? So to me, that it's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, I mean, if the soul is
if she cloaked it properly and that sort of thing, then maybe.
Right. If, and that's the key word here. If she did, then there should be no soul to Mead. If that's the case.
Yeah. No, I just think because it's owned by Satan, you know. So to me, I just think of him being more powerful than her, and that's why. You know, that's the part that gets me. But no, and I understand completely what you're saying. I just wonder if she is that powerful that she can do it, you know, or maybe she did get help. You know, I mean, we do know that we still don't know, but we do know that Dinah did cross Michael in the past, and that could be something that she could help him with.
Possibly.
So. You know, there's no time,
right? If she's truly one of those people where she says she's going to, you know, ride the fence or whatever, then she can still play both sides.
Right. And that is something I could see her very easily being able to do. So yeah, really. Where were we now? Okay, so then we go into he's going to look for. Oh, okay. He's going basically to look for his father, so he decides to go to the wilderness now. Now we were talking earlier about how the warlocks had told us, well, Ariel and Bodwin had said that he was out in the wilderness before. Mm-hmm. Well, now he goes out in the wilderness, and we know that he's out there for 4 days that we know of, where he's trying to call upon his father to look for answers. That's what it's all about. He needs to know, he wants direction. He needs to know what it is he needs to do. And he's out in the wilderness. Now, the part about where they said he was in the wilderness before, on last episode when Myrtle and Bubbles came to dinner, brings into question something that you and I were just talking about with the time thing and the magic thing, where there is no beginning, there is no end, there is no middle, really. So that plays into question now, especially with how this season's going and it's all over the place. Mm-hmm. So it kind of throws in that question. Is there a beginning, middle, and end to any of it? You know, just because, and especially because we haven't, seen him in the wilderness before. He just walked up on it. He didn't look like he had been anywhere. You know, he was still dressed nice. And he walked up on their bodies. And then he goes to the wilderness. And we seen what he looked like after he was out there for days. Right? He did not look like he was out there for days again. So, yeah. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, can we talk about his visions while he was?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's kind of go over all of those, because it's actually pretty significant to the story, and to his internal struggle, that that he had these particular visions, and that they happened not just in the order that they did, but what they were telling him and what they were saying about him. It was really, I had a moment. I had a moment where I was like, you know what? If Cordelia couldn't appeal to his humanity, then, you know, maybe the good man upstairs was going to try to appeal to him through his visions out in the wilderness, and get him to, you know, to come to the light. Okay, because he's not far off. You can see that he's still got this humanity, and he's not far off from it, but there's just things that stop him from accepting it completely, you know. And it's because, I think, because of his, you know, knowledge of who he is, and he just wants that acceptance from his father. Now, not just any father, right? Because he got rejected by a whole bunch of guys who could have been father figures to him, but he's looking for acceptance from his father. He goes out there, what do you want me to do? Tell me what you want. I'll do anything you say. You know, just whatever you want, I'm yours. Just have me do this. And it's interesting, like, because it almost feels like the wrong father is reaching out to him yet again, right? In these other forms. So I just wanted to bring that up. It was the wrong father reaching out to him, the one that's supposed to be reaching him, and his actual father didn't really.
No, and I agree. And I actually wrote down a bunch on this, okay? I wrote down like almost everything that happened. So I'm going to go into a little bit about what happened during those 4 days later visions. And we'll call them visions. After 4 days with no drink and no water, I don't know if it was more hallucination or not, but we'll call them visions. So first we had the little boy, and the little boy and the little girl. Everybody was dressed in white, first of all. I thought that was kind of, like you were saying, the other father speaking to him, the father he wasn't reaching,
the heavenly father.
Right. And he had a great Fanta, and I did notice it was a really old style can of great Fanta. So I don't know if that was just me, but I did. And he said, you know, that he would, you know, that that he was thirsty, you know, he was offering him that, you know. And he said that he told the little boy that he was on a mission. He didn't have time.
Yeah.
The little girl offered the apple and said, well, you need nourishment. And it was a nice, juicy apple. And I thought the apple was a nice callback to later on when he sends the apples and Venable poisoned them. And Venable we have later on in this episode too. So it was just a lot of, it's like we're getting reverse foreshadowing here, you know? It's just kind of weird.
There have been a lot of Apple references, aside from the computer and aside from the whole Adam and Eve, Garden of Eden kind of thing. But yeah, I think the girl was representative of that.
He really,
and actually, the interesting thing about that is, as innocent as it may have seemed, she was offering him something that would nourish his body, but at the same time, you know, in the Garden of Eden, it's a form of temptation.
Yeah, and
so she's tempting. I think she's using that to tempt him away from, you know, from this evil. Really, not so much like where in the Garden of Eden, where you know, it was temptation toward evil. Away, it's this time it's temptation from evil.
And I know that it's a different kind of religion, but the little boy with the grape Fanta, the grapes, reminds me of Dionysus, and he was god of wine and other things, but wine would be one of the main things. And with the grape, just because they chose grape out of everything with a little boy, and he was a god of fertility and of a lot of other things too. You know, it was more than just the god of wine. You know, like Tyrion always said, the god of tits and wine. That always made me think. Garth, speaking of just a good comparison, Garth Greenhand, boom, Dionysus. In my head, that's just who he was. Yeah, I can associate totally to him. And he told him that to the little boy, he said, I have to talk to my father. Then we see Miss Mead, and she's like, you left me to die. You left me. I was alone to die. You left me to burn, and I'm afraid. Okay, she was none of those things. That was just a total, that was bull, all of it. And he said to her, you're not real. He called it. He knew that was not there. And then we seen the Archbishop, and he's like, don't listen to her. So they and make him feel the guilt the way he should have. And then the Archbishop shows up and says, you know, don't listen. And then he says, you're everything we've expected, the Alpha and the Omega, who is, who was, and who is to come. And then we see the angel. He turns into the angel that says, God loves you.
Yeah.
So, and that part, I think, if nothing else, it could be going with the back and forth with Michael, or it could be too also because wasn't Lucifer God's favorite, and then he, even before he fell, you know, that wasn't he his favorite angel?
Who, Lucifer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, that just made me like think, even though who he is and what he is, it was just kind of a reminder that God loves him still, you know. Could be, you know, as opposed to just the going back and forth. That could be what that meant. But, and then of course we had the goat, and he said, are you my father? And then cut off his horns, which he got snakes.
I totally laughed at that. Are you my father? Like, that's something that you see like out of a comedy or something like that. Are you my father? No.
I laughed too. I was like, that's deep daddy issues. And then the snakes came out too. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah. So that actually made me laugh, where he's like, are you my father? Like, what? I mean, I could understand. Look, I can understand the reference because of, you know, the goat and Mead going after the goat's head and the parts of the goat and everything. And it's interesting. Like I said, the order kind of matters, because that's the one that happened last for him, and that's what set him off on his journey to actually get out of that circle. And because he insisted he wasn't going to leave. Okay, so that goat was probably the vision or a hallucination that he was waiting for to set him on his journey. Now, so let me just kind of stop there for a second. So the name of the episode is a Sojourn, right? And I looked that up because I remember, you know, Sojourner Truth, right? So, and I was thinking, okay, that's obviously a real word and it's got to have a meaning. So let me look it up. And
Did you?
I know, right? The weirdest things set me off. So, so it is a temporary stay. It means to stay, visit, stop over, or a residence. There's also, it means a break in one's journey. So this is obviously about his journey. And it also is a synonym for a lodge or a room. And there were hotel references in this episode as well. So I kind of caught on to that.
Oh, I caught on to the hotel too. We'll get to that in a minute because, yeah, I'd like to get more into the hotel part.
So this is, so really, we get a good sense of what's happening with Michael. This is his journey, and I think it's, he's going on like a journey where it kind of forks in the road eventually. Right now, he's just kind of going straight ahead, and it's kind of like this constant rocky. If you've ever walked on a trail or something like that, and you're slipping and sliding, and you're all over the place.
Right.
It feels like he's going to come in the fork in the road relatively soon, and he's going to have to decide, much like Dinah.
I like something that I'm just gonna call him D now. You're just D now, but fandom D Saint. He's changed his name too much. You're D to me, darling. All right. He said, I like that God appeared because it was supposed to mirror that when Christ was being tempted, Satan appeared. Here we have God tempting the Antichrist. And, you know, I totally forgot about that. And it's just like the mirror image of, you know. That's a good point to bring up.
Yep.
That whole scene was pretty crazy, and it just grabbed me. And what I thought was really funny is he's out in the middle of these woods somewhere, and then the next thing we know, he's just wandering into this little town. And he finds his upside down cross. It's like he knew it, and it made me wonder if after the goat situation with the snakes, if that kind of led him on his way. You know, he got his answer. Mm-hmm. And that's what led him.
He thinks so.
He thinks so. Yeah, he thought so. Apparently, I guess it's some sign he got. But he ended up, he followed, and he seen that upside down cross and led him to the church of, what are they called? Church of Satan, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what we'll call it. Okay. And okay, first of all, I want to say that I don't know what to call the leader of it. Do we call the preacher? We're gonna call her a preacher because I don't know what to call. Probably should have looked that stuff up to be more accurate. But all right. Yeah, that's what I called it. Was the Church of Satan, because I just wasn't sure. So the preacher at the Church of Satan was Sandra Bernhardt from. Well, a lot of people know her from Roseanne, and she just did a lot of raunchy comedy. She was a comedian, and she was just hilarious. She had so much energy in there, and was just like, you guys are just not doing enough sinning. How are we ever going to get the Son of Christ, or the Son of the Antichrist, to ever come if we can't create enough hell on earth for him to show up, you know? And what did you do to sin today? And how about you? And one person stole $100 from work, and another person slept with someone's wife, and she's like, amateurs. And she's like, what was it she did? She like robbed a nursing home or something.
Yeah, she robbed a nursery home and gave the money to the NRA.
Yeah.
I laughed at that.
Yeah, I did too. She's like, and give it to the NRA is what I thought was funny. It's like, I robbed the old people and give it to the NRA.
I don't know how seriously evil that really is compared to like what you do at the Black Mass.
It is. Oh my God, too. It really is. And I'm watching American Gods. I don't know if anybody's seen that in here, but if you have, I let me just say, I just finished the episode with Vulcan in it. And there was a lot of bullets in that episode. So it was just the wrong one to watch right before that episode. Great show, by the way, too. I highly recommend it. Some other interesting things. Michael comes in there and he meets him like another kind of surrogate mother. I guess we'll call him her Auntie Madeline.
Yeah, Madeline.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he found him another one. And she took him home and fed him and seen the mark, and she was convinced right away. She seemed to think that her wonderful life was all due to his father. She's the one that told him. Yeah.
There's so much about that I need to talk about. I need to talk about this.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I found myself laughing so hard at the whole church thing, at this whole exchange while they're sitting at the table and she's walking through her house talking about how wonderful and great, how she has riches beyond. I was like, what? Okay, you've got a very normal life, woman. It's pretty ordinary for most people these days. I don't know what your life was like before then, but you got a house and you've got cable. I mean, you're just doing awesome. Right?
Let's not forget that she's got Brad Pitt on Saturday nights and she's got Ryan Reynolds.
Well, that's where, and then, Brad Pitt and Ryan, like, okay, whatever, I mean, I don't really, but I just laughed so hard about her because it was just funny. It was just, it got me. Okay. I wasn't going to laugh at this episode until then, but I laughed at the goat and I laughed at this. So, when he's basically, sitting next to her in the church and she's basically like, yeah, you look like you haven't eaten, come over to my place. I'll make something for you afterward. It's like, that's so nice of you. And again, the Antichrist is not going to use the word nice, first of all.
Right?
Okay, that's nice of you. And then she says, nobody's perfect.
Yeah, I know. That was like my favorite line. She was like, nobody's perfect.
I loved it, right? So there was that, okay? And then
yeah, he had nice legs, didn't he? I was checking him out.
Oh my gosh.
TV so he could go plug in his Xbox while the kids watch the other TV.
But that exchange right there between the two of them, I mean, it was just funny because if her life was going to be so magnificent, you compare that to the guys at the robotics company where they have like $1 billion company where they're making bad money compared to her in this ordinary house around the corner from the church. And I'm just like, well, you waited your entire life for that and they got to be billionaires. How did you get so screwed? I mean, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. So that was funny to me. That was pretty.
Oh no, she was hilarious. She had me rolling. And then she's like, what? How dare you? When she went after him with a knife. And she's like, blasphemy. And then she's like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. And then she starts bowing down to him. She's like, hail Satan. And then she's like, and whenever she dropped him off, she was like, I've waited all my life just to meet you, for you to come. Can you just do me a favor and put in a good work so I can get in the lower levels? And he's like, the lower levels? She goes, the worst ones, where I can really burn and do my services best.
Okay, so there's my next one. That's definitely a Dante's Inferno reference. There is no mistaking it. The circles of hell, because she specifically mentioned a circle of hell. Okay?
Yes, I got it.
Exactly. So now they're finally legitimately making that connection in this entire story, series, whatever. So, yeah, that is definitely Dante's Inferno for sure.
You know what? We can't figure out why it does that, and we can't even figure out why it doesn't put the little boxes in the bottom either.
Just roll with it.
Yeah. Every now and then it'll do that. I swear. The little YouTube thing just gets mad at me sometimes.
Oh
No.
yeah, that was funny. That those entire
sometimes
few
this
minutes there. That was pretty funny.
It'll work when I do that and then switch back. It's probably still me.
Well then.
No, now it's stuck on my picture. Oh no, there I'm back again. Oh well. Okay, we'll just go with it. Okay. So yeah, so then she brings him back to the church. And they're going to let that guy, what was his name?
Phil.
Bill, there we go. Thank you. They were going to let him go ahead and do it. She's talking about the All Sinners Choir was singing, and whenever they first walked in, and it was raining, and she was talking about
volunteers. That's the other thing too. They're volunteers. Okay, so the all volunteers in the choir, and then they go and they want to slit the throats of volunteers. Are you kidding me?
Volunteers? I thought she was talking about the choir being volunteers.
Well, them too, but the people that they killed were also volunteers of a different type.
Oh, I didn't catch that part.
The Doctors Without Borders and the basically like a social worker, you know, volunteering their time to help people and make them better, versus the volunteers of this choir.
I thought it was just people that they just like grabbed or something. I didn't know they were volunteers. Oh my
goodness. She specifically mentioned their life's work for that purpose, and then she said, you know, this world's going to be a little shittier without them.
Yeah, I like that one. That was great.
So,
and then let's see, and then Michael came in, and she's like, no, stop, let him do it. And he doesn't even need to be a black mass. He doesn't need to sell his soul. Yeah. His soul's already been, there's no reason for it. And she shows him the mark, and then he kind of, you know, shows himself. It's proven right there, you know. I think the only ones that really kind of doubted him was the two guys that made Miss Mead, right? Because they felt, as soon as they seen the mark, they were all just kind of gaga over them and had the potluck dinner. Everyone's trying to feed them and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he flat out tells Madeline that, you know, because there wasn't really nothing going on. Everyone just is like, oh, try my dinner, you know, try mine.
Like a typical church potluck.
Right? It really was.
It was very normal, regular. I thought that they would have like deviled eggs or something, you know. They didn't even say macaroni salad.
Right? I know. I would try my lasagna. How do you like it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was my mother's recipe. I'm so glad you like it. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was so cheap.
He was just upset. He's like, I just want y'all to do what you normally do, you know, when I'm not here. And then he's like, I'm just upset because I don't know what to do. The one person I needed is gone, and she's dead, and I can't bring her back. And that's when she says, no, you're the son of Satan. You can do whatever you want with whoever you want. Death means nothing to you anymore, honey. And said that they have an entire network. Mm-hmm. You know what I thought of with a network.
I know exactly where you're going with that one.
Yep. Okay. So, yep. Well, with the network, I was thinking of, let's see if I say it right this time. The corporation. I did.
No.
I know it's a cooperative. It's coming. I know. But I think the corporation in general, I'm still stuck on them witch hunters.
We can, well, there's stuff about that in the preview for the next episodes.
Okay, now the reason I'm going to say with the corporation still, because I can see them selling their souls to go after what they want. No, I still think they're all interconnected. I do. And the warlocks been wanting the witches out of their way so that they could take their place for how long too? I just think there's connections. I think there's connections. And they have that network. So remember, they said they have that network. Miss Mead was part of that network. So how extensive is that network? We know that it already went to, and okay, see with the cooperative too, the cooperative had Coco's family in it. So I don't think that's going to be the same as the corporation. Right?
So, it's interesting because of the choice of words when Madeline was describing it to Michael, right? She said, think of the network like it's a hotel. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like an interesting thing in and of itself there, because we were talking about, you know, the strong sense that maybe the hotel was going to be the sanctuary. So I kind of, you know, I'm still thinking that that's still a little part of that there.
And she mentioned that he'd be going to the penthouse
with these guys that she's about to take them to. That's the penthouse. So to me, it's finally becoming a puzzle. It's not just him rambling on about something that may or may not exist, because I saw earlier that fandom was kind of like thinking like I was, that it was just a bunch of crap. There's no such thing, possibly, that Michael made it up. However, now that we're starting to see what's really behind that, I think that there's a chance that we're going to see some you know, some pieces come together really quickly in the next episode. So I'm reserving my judgment, but I feel like we actually are going to have a sense of who's in this cooperative. I don't want to jump ahead to the preview, so I'm just kind of being cryptic right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we will see the hotel again. I think it will go back to Hotel Cortez at some point. Especially because we've already seen it, the reaction then, and there's little drop hints there too. Mm-hmm. Now, getting to Mutt and Jeff, and that was their name. First of all, let's talk about that they were making sex dolls. First off, that was kind of hilarious. They had Miss Venable as their secretary, and mentioned that she loves purple. That's her thing, and she always wears purple. So that's kind of like a big FU, because she's not wearing purple at Outpost 3. It makes me wonder if they kind of, because they mentioned that she doesn't seem to like him very much, and they think she secretly hates him. So I wonder if maybe she ends up
demoted.
Yeah, or maybe they made her AI and something happened like that. I don't know. It just makes me wonder what's going to happen to her, because she definitely ain't going to be purple forever.
I think she got demoted.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely a demotion. I'm just wondering if it's going to be one of them demotions that's going to keep her alive.
It's why she's not in the know when we first see her, those first couple episodes. Like, Michael clearly knows more about it than she does, and she's supposed to be like the right hand.
Well, and she seems to never have seen him before until that day either. But
she never saw Michael. You got to remember when Michael, so going back to this episode, right? When Michael appears at the building to see these guys, Jeff and Mutt, I call them the rope guys. Number one, she is not at the desk to see him come there. He is to be sent to a private elevator. So she never gets to see him. She does not see Michael, which would explain why she was kind of surprised when she first saw him come to the outpost. He wasn't aware.
It didn't show him in the same room at all.
Correct.
It had the other girl in there that he just basically dusted. He set her on fire, and
she combusted. She internally combusted.
Yeah.
And so, but Michael was sent straight to a private elevator. And, you know, whenever you do something like that, it's for anonymity, right? So when he went up there, she was already gone from where they were. Okay. So she did not come across Michael at all at that point. So to me, it's fair to say that that was her first time seeing him, was way back in the early episodes.
Dee says, it seems the Venable loves being in control in some shape or form. So when the bunker thing it was going to happen, she came up with the color system. I don't think she did, because if she came up with the color system, she would have been wearing purple because of how much she loved it. That's why I think it was someone else that came up with it, because she was put in black. Yeah, she was bumped. Yeah.
She was bumped from something that she loved, so.
And put it into something else, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They also were playing the morning after, whenever she had said something to the IR chick, or to the HR chick, about I am HR bitch, and told her to pack her shit and leave. The morning after started playing, and whenever she took in and delivered their cocaine in a jar to them, which we know what they sold their soul for, partially at least.
Mm-hmm.
And she said to them, you know, don't call me babe. Sometimes, and that's when they said, sometimes I swear she hates my guts. So I wonder if she might be the one that tries to kill them or something. And then when Michael comes in, they talk about how they picture him more like The Rock and everything. They kind of doubted him. So, you know, it took him basically showing the mark, and the one girl says she feels the darkness and goes to run, and that's when she bursts into flames. They see his true face and then kind of bow to him. That's when they realize, you know, he is who he is. Mm-hmm. And, you know, then they go have sushi. I mean, just all that was kind of crazy.
Not really. I kind of felt like that was, you know, in character for them, kind of quirky, and, you know,
the sushi part threw me.
Yeah, I mean, she was down there doing a service, and, you know, he forgot she was even there, first of all. So it's not like she was anybody important in their eyes, and it didn't matter. So it's just like, oh, okay, well, one less person. So that was just kind of like what I got from that.
Yeah, and then they just reminded me of like some Silicon Valley type guys, you know, just hanging out. And for fact, they even brought up, oh yeah, we signed an NDA where we used to work for a company, but they fired us, and talking about Ellen, you know, and like, oh, we're not supposed to say anything, but they still said his name anyways, you know. Oh, we're not supposed to talk about it, but then they decided that they were going to go ahead and make Miss Me. They said, what can we do? Any of the smallest thing you need, just let us know. We're more than happy to do whatever. Mm-hmm. And one more thing I want to say too. When they showed his true face, you seen that white face, demon face again. Right. Mm-hmm. I thought that I was like, oh, there it is again. Yep. But they didn't freak. They were happy. So, they said basically they owe everything they had to his dad, so they'd be happy to do anything that they could to help him, any minor thing. Mm-hmm. You know, he lost someone, he wanted back. They said, here's a picture, tell me anything they know. They wanted to geek her up even better. They said that they can make her even better version, and they said Mozad. And then they called her Miriam Me 2.0, the Battle Axe. So basically, they made her just more badass. It's like they got
there's more to it.
Oh,
Turns out there's more to it. So so there were actually some interesting references in what they were saying, and I went into total geek mode. I had to.
Oh, go ahead, darling. Go ahead, tell me.
They just totally they stuck out. I knew what these were. So HAL 9000, if anyone ever saw the movie 2001 Space Odyssey, that's where that reference come from, is the robot HAL 9000. Okay.
Long time ago.
Long time ago. They're long before 2001. Okay?
Yeah.
I remember seeing that when I was a kid. And then the Mossad is actually, it's a militaristic civilian service. So that's why we see her doing all of that combat stuff in her memory.
That, you know what? And I was thinking, I bet that's why she's got the memories of like her father, being like combat's in my blood, and my father was a vet, and I was a vet, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. She was built for combat. She was built for defense.
That yeah. See, that's what I was thinking. That's why I didn't even look it up. Yeah, because they were calling her the Battle Axe. And we already talked about, the Ryan Reynolds. Everybody's banging Ryan Reynolds. He's busy. And they also brought up Brad Pitt. Madeline banged him on Thursdays. And Mutt and Jeff had the Victoria's Secret models on Tuesday. And he did say at one point to Madeline, he's like, so is that all that Satan is about, is carnal lust and all that? Is that all?
Disappointed. He seemed really disappointed in that's how people felt, that, or it appeared to him anyway, that's all there was to it. Like, he had really nothing to look forward to, if that's how people are, kind of describing their experiences after they sell their soul, and what he's supposed to be providing for them, which is not a whole hell of a lot, really.
Right. It was like, it was a big letdown for him. He's like,
there's no sense of, fulfillment in a person's life. There's no real accomplishment. There's no,
And when you think about how her house was, her life was, and everything, it was kind of really basic,
It was very basic compared to theirs, which was really.
Yeah, and then he goes and sees Matt and Jeff. Yeah.
But here's the thing about that, right? So, and this, I work in technology, so I kind of read these kinds of things. But there are people that leave major tech companies and they go on and they build their own billion-dollar companies without selling their souls to the devil, just because they had that experience. They can drop those names. They've got that network. They don't, you know what I mean? So,
oh yeah,
so what I'm saying is the sense that they think they got it because they sold their soul to the devil. No, it's because they were going to get it anyway, because of who they knew and their network and what they knew and what they could offer the public in those sex dolls, or
right.
So they don't realize that their life was going to happen that way anyway, and they felt they had to sell their soul for that.
Oh, Connie, bless your heart, you're watching an Asylum. That was a fun season. I'll tell you what.
I love that. That season.
Connie. Yeah, right. Oh Lord.
So yeah, these guys, everyone that they're talking about, these things that they got for selling their soul, it was going to happen anyway.
What I'm interested to see now is who he's going to meet next in the network and how he's going to utilize it.
I don't know, because and I'm teetering along with him, okay, as the watcher, as the observer from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I teeter whenever he has this sense of, oh man, God, that's all, and really, because I think that he does have just that slightest bit of doubt, and Madeline called him on it too. This is not the time for self-doubt, or you're
right. Yeah, she did.
So she sensed that about him, and if I was her, I I get it. Yeah, she gave him the pep talk and everything that she thinks he needed, but he didn't really need that pep talk. And even with going to these guys to get Miriam Mead 2.0, he still wasn't any happier as the Antichrist. Like everyone else seems to be so happy, yet he's just kind of like in this world of suck.
Yeah.
So maybe this is his limbo and everyone else's heaven or hell on earth, and he's just trying to find his way. Again, it's his journey, the sojourn, right?
Right.
So I teeter every time he teeters. I think, you know what, he's gonna realize that he does have a lot more good in him than he thinks, if he could just get rid of this crappy, well, you wronged me, so I'm gonna, the vengeance part, right? Vengeance. So yeah, it's the vengeful part of him that keeps him going in that direction. Otherwise, he would totally be on a completely different path by now.
Yeah, and like at one point he mentioned that his father abandoned him and his mother tried to kill him. It made me wonder, which father was he talking about? Was he talking about Ben? Was he talking about Tate? Or was he talking about his father that was never even there? And then the mother that tried to kill him, was he talking about Vivian? I mean, that's the only one we know of, right? So is that who he's so hurt by? What would have happened if things would have went different with them?
Well, I don't know that they would have been very different because of the way that he grew up, and he was already building up, this evil inside of him. So it was going to be a struggle anyway to find the light. But I feel like he was worse. Let me put it like this: as a child, he was worse than when he was a teenager or going to adulthood under Miss Mead, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
he
really does.
Things before he came across Miss Mead. Okay.
Right.
And now that he's come across someone who believes in him and believes in his father and believes in that lifestyle, he seems to be backing off from it. So that's
like
just,
he doesn't believe in himself, and that's what he needs to do.
And that's really all he needs, is that, that true boost of confidence. So yeah.
I wonder if we'll see something similar with Mallory go on.
Well, it's going to be an interesting exchange again, because we already saw their first exchange and he was taken by surprise by her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't think we'll get like a full episode, because there's only 2 episodes left, like this. But I think we'll see something more interaction with them. I think that's what's going to come down to, is the 2 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting, very thought-provoking season this time around.
Yeah.
I think it's really just a struggle for everyone every day. It's all in the decisions that we make, really. And it's no different for Michael as the Antichrist, right? He's got to make some decisions too. And he just seems to be unable to do that at some points because of his self-doubt. And Madeline was absolutely right about him. But her pep talk was never going to help him. No one's pep talk is going to help. He's just going to have to realize it.
I don't think he'll be happy until he sees his father. And then I don't know if he'll be happy then. I just know that he'll be satisfied then. I think something might not go his way then.
He's going to be let down again.
Yeah.
That it's not going to be all these things that he propped it up to be.
Yeah.
And everyone else is propping his father up to be something that he's just not, because those things really in their lives are just not that wonderful anyway.
Yeah. He's built it up too much in his head, and everyone else has built it up for him too much. Like he said, everyone keeps expecting me to do all these things, and I don't even know what to do.
Yeah. So
how is it going to be any different with his father?
It's not. It's going to be just more disappointment for the guy. And I think once he finally faces up to that fact is when he's going to realize, you know what? I'm just going to have to, go on the path of my humanity, because it's what hasn't let me down yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's gonna find out like Cordelia was right. He just don't want to admit it because it's Cordelia.
When she's right, she's right, but when she's wrong, I can't stand her.
Oh, I know.
Cordelia. Yeah. So
I'm not so sure she'll be around for him to tell her, but
are we going to go into the preview? We're going to go into the preview, aren't we?
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure because I didn't want to jump ahead.
Oh yeah, I like previews.
Again, something I'm pretty famous for around here, huh?
Yeah. No, I like to.
Wow. So I'll be honest with you, like that, I had to stop and watch it a few times, scene by scene, frame by frame. Did anyone else have to do that, or did you feel like that was the only way that you could really get something from it? Because there was just so much going on in that entire 30-something seconds, okay?
I watched it and I was like, what?
Like brand vision, okay? I was just like, what the hell? It was a brand vision for me, okay? And I went, oh gosh. But, and here's why it was, is when I did go frame by frame, a lot of those frames were events that already happened. So what I was actually having to look for was stuff that we hadn't seen before in order to figure out what was going to happen in the next episode. They did that to us. They totally did that to us to mess with our heads.
Oh, yeah.
All that filler of things that had already happened. Again, like a brand vision, okay? Like it totally irritated me because I wrote down frame by frame what I saw. And I was like, wait a second, we already saw that. What the hell? But what we didn't see and what I thought was the most interesting thing is it looked like they actually showed the cooperative in the room. And somebody was looking at, it looked like a file or a piece of paper or a book or something that said messengers at the top. So I had to completely stop this thing, right? And I put it on like a big old screen. It said messengers, and then there was armed something, and I don't have like those kind of cool software to where it like makes everything like, high resolution and sharp and all that. So I couldn't see it all, but it was armed something. And then it said messenger pigeons. And then at the bottom, it showed someone in a chemical suit with red laser eyes of some sort. And then we saw the, however many heads, and it looked like they were wearing like some sort of mask. It reminded me of like some sort of, I don't know, alien type movie where they had like the dark faces and you couldn't face, but they were all sitting there in a row and each person had a file in front of them.
Yeah.
So those to me were the two most interesting pieces of this, aside from seeing Cordelia, you know, on the ground, everyone around her, she's convulsing, all of that. To me, it's more about those two little pieces of information.
Yeah, and messengers too. Not even pigeons. Well, I could think of in pigeons way, but just a simple fact in messengers, and with everything that's going on, I think of messengers in a different way. You know,
Yeah.
like yeah, okay, yeah, you're going the same way I am with that. Okay,
like the visions and
yeah.
all of that. Yeah, totally. But you got to remember, in an earlier episode, they did have a messenger pigeon.
Yeah, and it died.
It made it. Yeah.
Things on them and all. It was not a safe one.
Yeah, but it seemed like the rest of it was stuff that we and the part where Venable was asking about the cooperative. Like that was new information. That's what I was actually looking for in all of that mumbo jumbo that was going on in that whole thing. 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
It gave me a headache.
I know. I seen that went by real fast, and I was like, because that's who I thought it was too. And I didn't know how to read it though. I didn't freeze it that good. But knowing that I see was Cordelia, and first thing I thought was she's gonna have a vision, like some big vision, or either she's about to go.
Well, it's when she had already brought Myrtle back, right? So
right.
In the timeline, then that's probably not good for her.
Right. And we already know that she was Rising Supreme, and that was a couple years ago.
Right.
Hell, we don't know where we're at, actually. I guess we're still at the war. We haven't had the actual apocalypse yet, right?
We're still leading up to it.
Yeah.
They're still showing the backstory.
It's like they went backwards with this whole season.
Let's see. Cammie, I didn't catch the name of the next episode, but if you go to American Horror Story or FX, yeah. I mean, they have the preview, and it should have the name of that.
Hang on, I'll tell you.
It's not Brimstone and Fire, or Fire and Brimstone.
Nope, it is Fire and Rain. And then the last one is called Apocalypse Then.
Not Apocalypse Now, like the movie.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. All these movie references.
Right?
I'm catching them. I am. I'm catching those. If I miss any, you guys let me know, because I try to catch as many as possible, and I'm trying. I think I'm close. I think I've got most of them, if not all of them, and literary references. So if I ever miss any, make sure you guys point it out and tell me, ha, you missed it. So, because I want to know.
Oh.
Movies and
thank you, Connie. Have a good night and good sleep. She is forever working. And she gets up early to work too. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we want to cover that we got.
Have anything else about the next episode? What you kind of thought of that, or what you're hoping to see? Because I'm really looking forward to learning more about the cooperative now that they're getting into that, and now that it's an actual thing.
I do too. I want to find out what they're all about. I want to know the connections, and I want to know who they are. I want to know. I want to know what happened to the rest of the warlocks too, because there's. Come on, just the two of them died? No, the rest of them are still out there. I want to know where they're at and what they're doing. We know we know Behold is on the witch's side. Now, can the other ones be swayed too?
I mean, with the lack of leadership in there, they probably went over to, you know, to be that, to
right,
be part of it all.
right, and I could see that. I could see that happening, and I hope it does happen. Actually, I think we're gonna have kind of a battle going on next week of some sort. It's on. Game on, boys and girls. There's going to be something good happening next week. It's going to be exciting. Well, I think a lot of answers and a lot of just excitement.
It should be that one where supposedly Mallory is the only one left. Whatever big battle was supposed to happen between Michael and the witches. So yeah,
Well,
they need to do that.
oh yeah, no, and I think that will happen too. But here's something else too. We still have to see Michael's father fully on too. So we've got 2 episodes left. Will that be next week, or will that be at the very end? I don't think they'll hold that till the very end. I don't know. With the title, it might be. But okay, with the name Fire and Rain, that makes me think that it's, the fire. Because when you think about like the whole apocalypse, end of the world thing, you think about the fire and brimstone and all that, and the whole rain upon the earth, right? It's a new rain. So we might actually get him next week.
Well, I was reading through the 9 Circles of Hell, Dante's Inferno, right? And one of them, where is it? I just saw it not too long ago. Oh, here we go. So the 3rd circle of hell, it's funny. It says sinners in this circle of hell are punished by being forced to lie in a vile slush that is produced by never-ending icy rain.
Yes.
So that's just kind of what it makes me think of, is that is actually, a hell in itself right there.
Yeah. No, I read about them too. I read about the rings. I went through that.
Huh.
And the weird thing too that I was reading about, I can't remember where, but it was about that. It was actually hell was actually frozen, and it was like Satan was actually like almost like a dragon or something, and they had to like be careful not to break the ice or something. Oh man, I don't know where I read it. It was when I was reading research about this stuff actually, but it was really funny. It had to do with remember when the warlocks were making it snow.
Yeah.
And it was just talking about that hell was darkness and frozen. And I was like, really? You always think about it just being brimstone and fire and all that. And it was actually saying it was the opposite. So I think that would be kind of interesting if they put that kind of little twist on it, especially where they're doing the warlocks more with the ice and the witches more with the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With the exception of Michael burning them people. Yeah, Dante's Inferno.
And the last thing that I had in my notes that I forgot to bring up was so the all volunteer sinners choir. I love that name.
Yeah.
The song that they were singing is called "O Fortuna." Okay.
Yeah. I wrote that down because I remembered you trying to remember last time.
I was trying to remember the name of it last time. I found it, and the lyrics to the song are actually quite interesting, and they actually have to do with that the fire and rain. So anybody who's interested in that, I'm not going to give it away. You guys have to go look this time. There is, if you go on to website, songmeanings.com. There is a translation from Latin to English, and it seems like a pretty solid translation, you know, based on some of the words that I know. You'd find the words interesting. It's a cool song. I love the song itself, but I never really put much thought into the words and why it was used in so many, you know, deep, dark, desperate, you know,
Makes sense now, don't it?
yeah, movies. But you know, I didn't even look. I didn't take the time to translate this. I just liked listening to it. But the words are really cool, and it helps give a little bit more meaning to this episode and to, you know, the coming episodes. So just like our wonderful Revelation, Book of Revelation references, I would say go to see the words for that song.
I think I said this already, but I'm gonna say it again. The morning after was playing again with Mutt and Jeff, and he said that a playlist is everything. He liked the calming music. It helped him work better and just think better and stuff like that. That's one of the songs that was playing for over and over and over at Outpost 3. So it makes me think too that they're the ones that created the playlist for Outpost 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really looking forward to you know, pushing through the next episodes and seeing how they explain everything and how cool visually it's all supposed to look. I have this, you know, kind of vision built up in my head, and you know, the battle between Michael and the witches. That's what I'm really like most looking forward to, is that
Yeah.
thing. But I feel like we're gonna have to be in for like another tame ending.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it leads to next season and what's going to happen. Like we were talking about the new Adam and Eve before. It makes me wonder how that might play next year, or if maybe we'll get a whole another level of hell, like actually in hell. That would be interesting. I think at this point we've kind of got
There's 9 circles. There's 9 circles, so we need at least one more.
Right. We need one more, and then we need actual hell. And I think I know violence was one, and I can't think off the top of my head what the other one is. But we know that we've seen we've seen Limbo was definitely a murder house now. And see, I thought that was maybe Lust was the other one, because that's the one I had thought was Lust before, and it changed my mind. Yeah, the Sinner's Choir. That was at the Church of Satan on that episode. That's what they called them. It was the volunteer choir. And that's what they were singing at the church.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody in chat, for coming, by the way. Tandem D Saint, Reese, Stacy, or Stacy's here with me. Cammy.
I was in the chat too.
You were in the chat too, right?
I was.
There you go. Connie. Brandon, he was Big C McLean tonight. Yeah.
I saw
I get this growing. Yeah, LMR was here. Johnny Be Crazy stopped by. AU Pat Mule was here. Thank you for coming. Anyone else, if I forgot you, thank you for coming by. I appreciate you. And we hope you guys can join us next week too, because it's going to be good. I'm telling you, it's going to be really good. When we get towards the end of this season, that's when it always is the best.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else you want to say before we head on out?
Yeah, usually it's the next to last episode.
Yeah, that's always my favorite.
Kind of like another show that we know and love, right?
Right.
No, anyway, thank you guys for coming out and hanging out with us and always contributing to the conversation, because you know, you guys do a good job of helping us, you know, push our thinking and, you know, pushing everything forward in general. So so I look forward to it. I like it. And you guys are seriously awesome. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes, and you always make it fun. I thank you too. I just love talking about all the stuff that we love, and I love hanging out with you guys anytime. It's always a pleasure. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week, and actually, you should be seeing me sometime later this week. It'll be a surprise. All right, talk to you guys later. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.